Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, February 28th. Welcome back. We've got more earnings this week as Oxy, Zoom, and Workday all reported yesterday after hours. Today we've got Target, Pre-Market, AMC after close, Rivian after close, Neo on Wednesday, Salesforce after close on Wednesday, and a whole bunch of others that we're looking to. Oh, and how could I forget Wendy's? There's a little bit of economic data this morning, mostly growth rates across different countries, Canada, India, and Australia. So keep an eye on that if you care about anything other than the US, which, I mean, I don't particularly know why you would. That being said, I'm going to invite a couple people up here and we'll get talking. Maybe we'll kick the day off with some Tard astrology. Masked, over to you whenever you get up here. No rush?
Yeah, unfortunately, opinion, it has been raining for a solid 5 fucking days now. So unfortunately, no Tart astrology. No Tart astrology play of the day today either. I'm taking a little break from losing all my money.
No worries. You know what else is taking a break from losing money? SPY. Up yesterday, green yesterday, possibly green today as it's green in pre-market. I don't know. It almost feels different than 2022 for I forgot what this color looked like. But maybe that can be said of SPY, but not our portfolios. So who is placed to kick us off?
I'm playing AMC earnings today. I have a bunch of shares in AMC as well as Ape. They're in the process of doing their vote right now to see if they're going to consolidate the shares. Yesterday, there was a report that JP Morgan raised their price target for Cinemark, which is one of the reasons why AMC may have run up yesterday. Another reason may be because they might have mixed earnings or pretty good guidance for 2023. But I'm still expecting after the conversion of the Ape shares to AMC, I'm still expecting AMC shares to go down. So I'm positive on the earnings, but I have $3 puts expiring at the end of March 31st for AMC.
Interesting. Is there a date yet on the vote?
Well, the vote is going on right now. I think it's going to last for a few more days, and then once the vote closes or whenever it's done, they'll probably announce the results. I believe it was March 9th, or I forget exactly what the date was when they're going to announce what they're going to do, but something's going to be announced in March. They might even announce it with the earnings tonight. Who knows?
The results are on March 14th. The share conversion won't be until April 27th, though, because of pending litigation.
Thank you, Ed.
Genome, you didn't feel compelled to sell yesterday with that bump? I mean, I don't think this company's been moving on fundamentals for a long time. And that kind of momentum, you didn't feel like you could sell?
Well, I want to see if what happens with. It was tempting. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the shares are up nicely. Like my average cost is like in the 389 or something like that range. My average cost on those is very low. So it was very tempting to sell, but I want to hold them through earnings today and see what happens. With the Ape shares that I have, the interesting thing was that I don't really understand was that AMC went up yesterday, but the Ape shares went like by 22.75%, but the Ape shares went down by 5%. So I would have thought that the Ape shares would have moved the same as the AMC shares, but they didn't. So
no, I saw that price action too. I thought it was a little strange. I agree with you.
So here's what's happening. Sorry to cut everyone off, but there's a pending legal case being filed by some Delaware pension hedge fund thingy-mabobber that's also put legal action against Palantir for not being honorable to their shareholders. Long story short, they're essentially trying to sue AMC, claiming that creating APE is a violation of their fiduciary obligations to their shareholders. At this point, the vote will happen on the 14th, but the court has delayed the actual conversion until April 27th, pending the results of this case. It doesn't look like they're going to win, but the price movement on AMC could very much just be an adjustment of price based on the now possibility that this case is ruled in the favor of or against AMC, and they cannot convert AMC or APE shares regardless of results. And that would match most of the price action.
Yeah, and that's why I bought those $3 puts. Because if it does go down, then I can capture value on the downside, and I still have my shares. So,
thanks for sharing. That's.
Having said all this, I still think it passes, and I don't. I've been watching this because Ape has been my baby for a little bit. I don't see anything in their case that looks like they're going to win. I get where they're coming from, but essentially saying you're diluting us and that's not good for share price doesn't make the case that they're not acting in the best interest of their shareholders and company.
And frankly, Aaron has been, the CEO, has been the clearest of all the companies doing this, so I think that's a strong case for them to throw the case out, right?
Yeah, but it's still going to be delayed until probably April 27th. We'll see what happens from there. So essentially a little more risk, but you can get in cheaper now and a little more upside, I guess.
Fair enough. Thank you. Hot Substance, did you want to talk about Zoom at all? Did you end up playing that? If Hot Substance is there. If not, that's cool too. We can move on.
Yeah. So currently I'm having my Zoom puts for this month 3-3. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Sorry, I don't really have much going on right now, so maybe someone can take over first.
Oh, sure. I just thought, Zoom's earnings were like yesterday after hours, so.
And they were up as much 7%, right, in pre-market.
Yeah, so for options, it actually raised to probably about 12%, and then it dropped down to 7%. And after hours, it increased. Stock prices increases. So for puts, they might be decreasing in value, but we'll see. We'll see.
So they killed earnings, it looks like, Zoom.
Zoom has some strong balance sheet from their earning cost, so there might be some price movement.
I guess companies are still using them. I know Amazon is in talks about utilizing Zoom now within their main video conference.
Right. So I think during the recent earning calls, they actually cut 1,300 jobs. So it's about 15% of its workforce to maintain a strong balance sheet. And they are in talks with some Microsoft and team communication tools for MNC companies. So yeah, we'll see whether the price go up or down. I'm also pretty curious. However, my bet is on puts. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. Amazon uses Chime, which is like their poor version of Zoom, but it sucks ass, and it's like a web browser almost. It's a plugin. So they're gonna incorporate Zoom, which I thought was super surprising. Not sure the timeline on that, nor the effect of it.
Well, and see, they were one of those stocks, I think, that kind of got thrown away with the bathwater with the other pandemic stocks that ran up so much. They are actually a profitable company. Zoom has now become a verb, let me Zoom you. So I think out of all those companies, it probably has some of the better legs to continue to grow and be profitable if you look at their financials.
Yeah, I was surprised when I was hearing Amazon in talks about using Zoom, because I thought the main reason folks or companies were staying away was because of the security applications due to Zoom, China stock, yada yada.
I'm not following that train of thought.
I guess it's Zoom secure now for companies to now use it, right?
Yeah, my company shifted away from Zoom because of security, insufficient security. So we went to Microsoft.
Yeah,
I think it's
exactly.
still an issue for a lot of companies.
Yeah, but it seems like they must have fixed it if Amazon's going to be using who pride
Yeah,
themselves
that
on
is curious.
security.
I'm surprised.
So
Well,
keep
one
in
of the-
mind, the government went with Teams specifically because of security concerns with Zoom.
Correct. So, do they fix the security problem? I guess was my.
I don't know, but the government's not going to change off of Teams. They're far too embedded in it now. So anyone who works with the government is also going to be pushed towards Teams. But that's probably mostly happened at this point.
Yeah, I know the defense contractors in particular, right? Like they're going to all be using Teams, and they are, and they're not going to change away from that, like you said.
Yeah, and in healthcare as well, I think Teams is a pretty strong stance on the HIPAA front. So I think there's a number of industry verticals that will sort of coalesce towards Teams, unfortunately.
I will say in my government role that we use Teams as well.
Local government?
State Higher Education Commission.
Yeah, again, anything that has any connection to the U.S. federal government through some type of contracting, which hits a lot of sectors, is going to be pushed heavily towards Teams. It's just the method the government's going to tell them they want them using.
I think I've noticed a lot of colleges are going towards Teams as well. Or, I mean, like class-wise, you might see Zoom in that, but if it's any administrative role or function, you're going to probably see Teams.
Yeah, to me, it seems like if it's internal, it's more Teams. If you're doing like external, it's more Zoom, right? I don't. Security-wise, it doesn't make sense. Anyhow, I appreciate everyone's insight on that. I think the functionality of Teams and with the whole Office suite, you're right. It's a easier way to get your business.
Put some Zoom then.
Good morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday. I'm planning on having a iron condor on the SPY expiring on Thursday, mainly because I can't really manage my portfolio following Thursday. I'm planning on going for around 11 o'clock is when I plan on opening it, and I plan on going about 4 to 2%, probably closer to 4%, as the overall width of that iron condor. So definitely going to be low premium earned, but very low risk overall. And the reason why I say 4 to 2% is that it looks like, based on the past few days of trading on SPY, we've seen about 1 to about 2% movement per day. So giving that 4% to 2% overall change from 11 o'clock today should be low enough risk. However, again, with an iron condor, you're risking a lot of collateral, especially with the 4% bet. It's pretty risky if I end up losing.
Just saw an interesting article. There may actually be some traction within Congress to ban TikTok. So bullish for Meta, bullish for why I brought up Google, but
Didn't Canada ban something? Maybe for the
Canada
government.
banned TikTok on government
Government phone.
issued phones, so any employees can't have it on their work phones.
Canada's ahead.
I mean, most people shouldn't have had it on their government issue phones to begin with, honestly. It's pretty controlled what does or doesn't get downloaded on those.
and I'm fairly certain it's already banned in American government phones now too. Go ahead, opinion. Sorry.
Oh no, all good. I just wanted to make sure that someone responded to the Iron Condor guy, and I just want to thank him for the play. Thank you for the idea.
Sorry, I didn't mean to walk over it.
No, all good. Yeah, so the TikTok thing was calls on Meta, or who's the other company that I think it was like Oracle or something? Larry Ellison wanted to buy or tried to get like a sweetheart deal with TikTok. Not sure if you guys remember that. I don't know if that's
Yeah, that was
or-
Oracle. I think they are embedded with TikTok in some capacity.
I think what happened was TikTok ended up opening up a US branch, and I don't know if like Microsoft runs that or who does that. Reading some ideas from the comments though, someone was like puts on TD Bank, and I think that's in relation to the fact that they were fined like $1.2 billion for their role in a Ponzi scheme, saying that they didn't take enough action. They were down, I don't know, something like 1.5% or 2% or something like that on the news, just because they're absolutely massive. So that's not an issue. Although I think there was something about like some reserve ratio that they had to meet, and now they're at risk of that. So if anyone has information on that, please let me know.
So it was TikTok US user data is on Oracle's cloud servers.
Gotcha. And I guess that's enough for the U.S. government to be like, okay, cool, you're good.
Yeah,
At least for a
I
little
think that's what it was like a year ago. They were like, well, at least the data's here.
At
Wink,
least the
wink,
data
nudge,
is with
nudge.
Oracle.
All right. Well, what else we got? Either in headline news. Oh, yeah.
Quick question here. Yeah, so I think last year in about November, December, before he passed away, his name was Scott Minard, CIO of Guggenheim. He was saying that there was a generational buying opportunity in corporate bonds, and these individuals like George Soros, who've also been buying up these corporate bonds in healthcare companies, some tech companies. I was just wondering if anybody could speak to these investments. Why do you think there's an opportunity in the corporate bonds?
Yeah, sure. So I've been trickle feeding into LQD for 2 months, 2.5 months, and I had a large position in it going into the beginning of the year, so that was a nice trade. But the reason is that the rates that those corporate bonds are paying right now are pretty good, like upwards of 5% blended on something like LQD. There's a couple other options for high quality investment grade and corporate bonds. And the reason is these companies are well capitalized. They have a lot of buybacks, a lot of capacity for dividends. They have with the dollar especially coming in a little bit, it was kind of trending upwards, kind of a crazy amount last year, and the projection was for the dollar to come in, so you'll have a lot of ability to repatriate funds with the dollar softening a bit. So between the interest rates on those bonds and the health of the companies, it's a pretty compelling opportunity to buy those bonds at pretty attractive rates. The reason that you wouldn't want to go with something like junk bonds is that in the case of a recession, those spreads will really blow out. You'll get crushed. But if you look at like the performance of something like those corporate or investment grade bonds last year, I mean, they're getting absolutely annihilated, right? It was like one of the worst years on record for fixed income. But now those yields are pretty attractive. And if you look at the outlook, if you look at past performance as well, I mean, you don't really have that kind of performance back to back years where you lose 20 odd % on your fixed income. There's a lot of reasons why we probably will have seen the bottom for fixed income, even if there is a looming recession. So I think that was the reason why it's just like a really attractive trade right now.
I have a question.
Go for it.
So I'm kind of new to all this, but I hear you guys were talking a lot about or earlier you guys were talking about Zoom seems to be heading in a good direction, I guess, from what I was hearing. Any recommendations on any, plays or anything like that?
If you're very new and you have no idea what you would like to get into, I would either suggest A, looking up some books and or videos to look into sectors, or B, the simple one of just look around you. See all the different stores that you see and all the different products you use maybe at your job and everything. And if anything stands out, it's like, wow, we sure are using a lot more blank at my job. Start looking into that. It's a good place to start. But if we just told you, like, buy X ticker, then you're not going to know why you bought it. You're not going to know when you should get rid of it if it goes up, and it's not going to help you.
You rad.
Right, yeah. No, I definitely agree. I guess that's also why I joined this page, because I was trying to get information or have, informational resources. So I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, there's some FAQs out there, a lot of stuff about, hardy trading and whatnot. I don't know where they are exactly on the board, but there is quite a lot of information out there. So, and if you don't mind, I do want to go back to that bond conversation too. I think there's a lot more meat on that bone. In regards to corporate debt, when you saw Scott talk about it in the fall before he passed away, a lot of that has already gone down because interest rates are still going up too. So it may not be as good of a buy.
Yeah, it's like, better to have done it a couple of months ago, but there's still a lot of meat on the bone, I think. I think the terminal rate is pretty close to where we are. You might have another 50 bips, but I don't think they're going to keep raising. I think it's just going to stay high for long, and that means that those corporate bonds are going to roll over at a higher rate. But not like 450 basis points higher like it was last year.
I agree.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you look at treasuries this week, which I think is one of the real reasons the market has turned over, that's why I want to spend a little more time on this. Interest rates in the bond market is so much huger than the stock market. That's why I want to talk about this. And interest rates are still going up. So there still could be depreciation in the value of those bonds still going ahead. So I don't want people to think bonds and think it's safe. Like you said, it was a 20% year last year. I don't think we know where the interest rates are going to stop. I think the inflation data that's come in recently has spoken to a lot more than maybe just another half point the rest of the year. So just counter arguments to that. And I think it's very important to our overall discussion. Go ahead, Brad.
Sure. That's fair enough. I just asked real quick, what do you think the terminal rate will be?
It's going to be in the fives. It has to be close, not close to 6, but I could see 5.5, 5 3/4, maybe. So I don't think we're done, and they're going to let it hold a lot longer. It's not going to be this quick cut right after. That's where the markets were wrong and got too much enthusiasm in the months of January and the first half of February this year. And now everyone's kind of coming back down to earth. Interest rates show that the market was wrong. Feds were right. Rates are going to go higher for longer.
So keep in mind, the Fed and Jay Powell, the Fed in general, has been very adamant about they don't want to do the 70s. They keep talking about Volcker. They keep talking about the 70s. They're not going to do the 70s. What happened in the 70s? They aggressively raised rates. They stopped. Everything got out of control. I think we're going to see this Fed raise rates a lot longer than people expect because they do that is not what they want. They don't want to stop early, and they'd rather just put them way too high and have the economy suffer than stop
Did they
early and
did
let it
they
run
stop
away.
or did they cut in the 70s before having to raise again?
I think it was just on a stop, but I mean, if someone here wants to tell me otherwise, that's fine.
I believe they cut, but the issue was they cut too early.
Correct.
The way I see it, as long as employment is still strong, it shows they have room to keep raising the rates. So I don't see why they expect it to cut anytime soon.
I've heard in some circles the number is 6, not 5. I've heard a lot of people shouting 6, but I'm not too sure.
And just as an investment thesis right now, you can get over 5% on 6-month paper. You can get 4% in some money markets. So would you rather put your money there or put it in a bond, which may depreciate, or the market? A lot of people are just putting it, instead of staying on the sidelines and earning nothing, getting 5% right now.
Yeah, I think my issue with that is that you don't have to roll your
Is this the seminar
paper if you buy a.
where the play's at?
Sorry, please continue.
I wouldn't put all my money in. I'm just saying there's a portion you could put in it, right? And I would rather put it there than corporate debt myself.
In relation to this talk about the interest rates rising, if you think that the interest rates are going to keep on rising for quite some time, you could consider getting some puts on SPY. You should consider that theta is going to eat at your ankles. But ultimately, if the interest rates do continue to rise, I believe that the market currently has priced in a 25-point hike. So the next one would be 50. If you think that the PCE came in too hot, and if you think that it's going to be 50, definitely get puts.
I mean, interest rates are going to continue going up. So.
Puts it is.
I think a lot of this is going to depend heavily on CPI, which is kind of like the obvious thing, but also the super important thing ultimately. And I think the market's going to be waiting for that for a while. Because with the last print, we now have the possibility that maybe inflation isn't going away as thought. So this next CPI number is going to play a big role in confirming, was it just a fluke, or is it stickier than thought, right? I think the market can be waiting on that.
What's the next CPI print? March 14th? Or...
Yep. The second most important thing happening on March 14th, right behind the 8th vote.
Yeah, the thing I'll say, though, is that I've heard that same thing every single month, right? Like, at some point, I think you make a call on whether you think it'll go up or down. You don't just wait. And, yeah, for me, like, I'm buying fixed income because I don't want to keep waiting and guessing on whether I need to roll my CDs or my 1-year Treasury notes.
So I know we hear a lot of people talking about this month's CPI, this month's CPI. The reason I think this one is particularly important is because we had a data point that seemed like it was either an outlier or a sign of a new trend. And I think it wasn't just a slightly off number, right? So I think this next one is going to be the opportunity to confirm or to show that it was just like an outlier.
Hey, are we I have a play, or I've made a play. Are we still talking about that?
Go ahead and make your play, my PP.
Go ahead, my PP.
Or is it Pepe? Oh, do we lose him?
And now silence.
I think the
we
seminar.
lost.
I think the seminar was getting to him.
Thank you, everyone, for that interest rate talk. Sorry, I just thought there was a lot more traction to everything that we talk about with that, though. It was good. Sorry, some people don't understand the importance of it.
Not everything can just be a weekly YOLO play. If that's all we talked about, we'd all be broke by now.
Sometimes I think you are, because the number of plays presented on original research has dropped dramatically.
Well, not with yours. Hello, Hardy. How are you?
Good morning. And I was hoping someone else would be able to come up with a reasonably consistent system to share plays from.
I mean, I've consistently lost porn plays.
Okay, so we just inverse you.
Yeah. I bought the first time I went heavy in the market, like individually, outside of 401k, blah blah, was literally the Friday before COVID.
I think the app kicked me out before I said my play.
I have a play.
Welcome, PP.
Can I offer?
Hold on. Let me just say my play first, and then you can, because my play's boring.
Go ahead.
So yesterday I got out of a SPX strangle, one contract at 4,000 at the money, and I was short. That was a 4K profit. But yesterday I made, after I got out of that position, I made two new ones, which is XSP, smaller version of the SPX, and it was a short strangle at 505 and 325 strike price for June 2024. And then the second play was I made a straddle at 400 strike price, both calls at the money and puts, and I was short one contract for December 2024. And that's just me. But I had a question for the guy who said he was doing fixed income. Why don't you do like a short leap, whether strangle or straddle, for those instead of doing short income? Just a question.
You said short income? I'm
No, not short. Short leap to replace your, because you said you didn't know the direction the market was going into.
Yeah, like there are some elements like my Roth IRA or whatever, or my HSA that like are just getting steady feeds of money every paycheck, right? So that's what's happening with this LQD for me as well.
I see.
Gambling and losing enough money on my taxable brokerage account with options and single stock plays that it's just diversification.
Gotcha. Understood. Somebody else had a play?
Yeah. So I was thinking that at my workplace we're choosing Azure as our main cloud provider, and I'm seeing that there seems to be a growing interest in Azure offerings over AWS. Wondering if that's a possible interest to maybe shift more investment to Microsoft versus Amazon. Anyone's thoughts? Or
I mean, I would argue that's been happening for a long time, right? I mean, I think the market's looked more favorably on Microsoft than any of the other mega caps, maybe aside from Apple, over the past 12 months or so.
I think they have lower subscription fees, do they not, also? So that kind of entices customers to switch from AWS to Azure as well?
What, Microsoft doing predatory pricing? No way.
Yeah, I know. This might play. Thanks.
Oh, hello, Scald.
Hello, everyone. Sorry I've not been around. I've been incredibly sick, got pneumonia in both lungs, but things are turning a corner now, I think.
I'm sorry, man. Get better. That sucks.
Dude, I've been fighting. Yeah, I've been fighting this illness for 2 months, and so after this protocol, they said if this doesn't get rid of the infection, then they're going to have to try this like chemotherapy drug on me, which does not sound like a great time. So I'm really hoping this works.
Are you doing breathing treatments? Is that what you're going to do?
It's an antimicrobial chemo thing, but like hopefully this one works. I'm on like a really powerful antibiotic right now, so the most powerful one that they got. So if this doesn't work, I'm kind of out of luck.
Dang, I was gonna ask you for all your money, but I forgot you have a wife and kid, so you're not like the rest of us.
Godspeed, brother.
I mean, she's still going to be upset with that one share of Disney I bought at $160 for her. So, you know, just saying. Real bag holder right there.
She's gonna go, I'm glad my dad's dead. He was bad at trading stocks.
What?
Does it run in the family?
Damn.
But
fucked up.
in all seriousness, I definitely hope you get to feeling better. Because you have some pretty good plays, unlike me.
Wall Street Bets, folks, taking it just a little too far sometimes.
Well, that's one of my jargon, one of my sayings. If there wasn't tough love, there'd be no love at all in this place. Yeah, this applies for this place.
I think that's sort of a hallmark of Wall Street Bets, though. It's like part of the brand. I'm taking it a little too far sometimes.
Or not far enough.
Hey, are you guys taking Target as a catalyst for what they recently said on their earnings? Slight growth, but they still have a dim outlook.
You said they beat earnings?
I think so, yeah.
They were
But
one of the
they-
first ones to have. Oh, sorry, real quick. They were one of the first ones to have real bad inventory management.
Right. So I'm just saying, if you guys are taking Target as a bird in the canary, was that canary in the coal mine?
Not in
There you go.
isolation, but in combination with others like Walmart saying that things have been going better, I think it's worth noting.
I should also point out that Walmart and Amazon paint and position themselves as marketplaces instead of as big box retail, unlike Target or Best Buy or Home Depot. The difference is that the inventory sits on the supplier's balance sheet in a marketplace versus the seller's balance sheet in big box retail.
And I don't know if it's still the case, but wasn't the inventory issue a very Target-specific thing because they specifically ordered the wrong stuff?
That's exactly it, and that's why I think it's an outlier, more management than a trend. Go ahead, Hardy.
It was a cascading problem more than anything. Keep in mind that they were anticipating massive back-to-school sales because of reopening, which didn't happen. So they're sitting on a lot of inventory that would have been sold in back-to-school that they then had to dump at cost or maybe slightly less than cost.
I don't know. Every time I'm in Target, it's always fully packed. Business going strong, probably.
Did we talk about Energy Transfer Trust and the GET as a ticker and how Energy Transfer works and freezes like the one we're currently having? Have we discussed? Sorry, I wasn't here.
I think we are now. Go ahead, Skull. No, we did not.
Yeah, so there's a ticker called ET. I would just check it out, Energy Transfer. So if you look when there's sudden freezes throughout sort of the Midwest, these guys do pretty well because they're a mid-market supply chain for oil and gas throughout the Texas region, but they're larger than just Texas, right? So they operate trucking, they operate pipelines, and if you look, typically when there's these sudden freezes, basically about 2 weeks later, give or take, the stock will pump typically because that cost of that sudden supply shock makes its way up the energy supply line and eventually hits energy transfer. So I wasn't sure if anyone was playing this. I played it during the last freeze. Unfortunately, I think I might be too late to play it now. But I was just wondering if anyone was in it, if there's still time to get in it, and what everybody's thoughts were.
I guess we have no thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't follow that stuff.
With the increasing frequency of unexpected freezes, is it possible that these energy transfer and storage companies have been increasing their storage rates or storage reserves in order to take advantage of the higher pricing during crunches? Because at least considering ERCOT's continued failures, that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, I guess my thing there is I think their storage capacity is pretty well maxed out. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think they have only a limited storage capacity compared to, say, some other companies. But I see what you're saying, Hardy. That's something to look into.
Hey, morning, guys. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Hey, guys. I got a quick question.
Okay, now you got really quiet.
Oh, great. I don't know if this is something that you guys already addressed, but here it goes. AMC, is that something we're allowed to discuss in here? AMC?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, we can talk about that.
Okay, just briefly. So over the last week, I don't know if I'm pretty sure you guys have been noticing it. It's been receiving crazy amount of volume. I believe right now it's sitting at almost 3 times its regular daily volume, and I just think it's beginning to receiving a lot of news attention. Are you guys into it? Any positions? I personally, I'm waiting for it to, if it can break the $10 level, I'm planning to go all in, but I don't know what you guys' take on it.
So you're waiting.
Why not go all in right now instead of at $10?
Yeah, I think if it gets to $10, you're too late.
That's a good question.
It's been pumped for the first quarter.
Man, pick up the book called BQB. QBQ. There we go. The question behind the question.
Question behind the question. QBQ.
So something to consider on March 14th, so essentially 2 weeks, they are voting to convert APE shares to AMC shares. Now, the conversion itself won't happen until April 27th, but if it passes, it is a 1-to-1 conversion, which is also going to open up $1 billion of potential share dilution that the CEO can and probably will do. So
he probably will.
You're potentially, especially buying now as it's gone much higher, buying into upcoming dilution. Just keep that in mind.
Interesting. Hey guys, appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, generally when you see something like volume spiking, you should probably want to know why before you invest.
Yeah, I mean, what they got upcoming earnings, so they're probably gonna shit those earnings, but maybe buy buy the news, buy the rumors, sell the news type of thing is happening.
Yeah, that's
so
the phrase.
I'm kind of in the between right here. So
This might be a lackluster quarter for AMC, which would be, at least for AMC, actually kind of good news, because they had a lot of decent movies come out fourth quarter, and People like to see those holiday movies, but other than that, it's AMC is the problem.
Yeah, I got you. I got you guys. I really appreciate it.
Also, keep in mind it is a ticker that does not trade off of fundamentals. Let's be real, right? There are other things that fuel its up and down movements than just what earnings are and the different reports. The shareholders are probably more interested in DRS counts than actual revenue generation and forward PE.
And popcorn delivery.
Hey, you got it. Yep. Hey, I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, next time you're trading, just remember this is the person on the other side of your trades, so you can feel a little bit better.
Absolutely. That's something of I'm always like keeping in mind. Yeah, there's always somebody else at the other side of the trade. So yeah.
Yeah, this is also not financial advice.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. What else we got? Surprised no one has talked about Wendy's or quick service restaurants.
Oh, I have a quick service.
What's there to say about them?
Yum Brands.
Was there more to Yum Brands or?
I think that was it.
All right.
sorry.
Okay. Well.
Is quick service restaurants how Canadians say fast food? Like how you guys call car parks parkades? Like, is that a thing?
No, it's not a thing. It's how they call themselves in their filings.
Oh, I see.
Scald, he calls it quick service because that's what he provides behind the dumpster at those particular locations.
I can confirm this.
All right.
I mean, I have to be bullish on Wendy's. I'm from Ohio. Their headquarters are like around the corner from my house.
See,
They
I
have a
brought
free
that up.
frosty machine. They got a free frosty machine in the lobby. It's dope. Anyway, but yeah.
Well, and besides dumpster diving, there's a whole other side hustle. They actually do French fry tastings. So the whole plasma French fry tasting, catalytic converter crowd. It's kind of funny.
Their 4-for-4 deal. Inflation at its best. It's still keeping strong.
You just don't know what the chicken or the chicken nuggets are made of.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. If it's pink slime, I'm eating pink slime.
I know the sauce. Mm-hmm. When the guy said yum, I'm like, are we doing calls on toilet paper? What?
No, Chipotle. Better Chipotle.
Chipotle sauce. Gotta look at that one.
People trading down, but still, it's not really your trade down. That is kind of recessionary proof, if you will.
Hey, just remember,
go ahead, Pete.
pink slime is better than Beyond Meat chicken nuggets.
That feels like a very tough, would you rather starve?
I feel like if we're going to speak about these types of places, surely Wingstop has to come up, right? As the super overvalued food place, stupid overvalued. What is it, like a 78 forward PE they're getting right now?
No, it's like 100 now. It's almost 100. Are you trying to get my blood pressure up?
Their backwards PE is 100. I think even forward is like 78 or 79 because apparently they're the tech company of chicken wings. They've just got all the chicken wing tech, and they're
Is that super overpriced wing place? It doesn't taste any better than any other wing.
It's overpriced to the point where if someone actually told me it was just the front for Walter White to run his meth business, I'd be like, all right, that tracks.
Yeah, I have a few around me. I never go. It's just way too pricey. And you don't even get a side with it or anything.
And I'm not even saying it's a bad business. Just the multiples they're getting is insane.
The cost to short it directly was pretty low earlier. I don't know. I've not looked at the cost to borrow against it in like a week and a half, but like it was pretty cheap to just short it directly.
And it's been on such a tear. Like, I know it's been brought up more than once, but let's call it in the last month since we've talked about it. I mean, it's up 15, almost $20. It boggles my mind.
It had like a downgrade 2 days ago and then went up 3% on the day. It is the most fascinating thing.
And they just beat earnings pretty high. So they're clearly doing well. People are still paying for their overpriced wings. So I don't know what's going on.
The chickens could be running a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, the problem with shorting something like this is like it can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Like that's my concern with Wingstop.
And the puts are stupid expensive. So I've been staying away, but it feels like the next Carvana.
It may then be worth selling those selling those puts instead, especially if you think the price won't fall that far.
The PE is at 98. Oh my god.
Yeah, and we've made plenty of jokes about this. There's brand recognition and all, but come on. Like, really, it's freaking chicken wings.
They're not even that good.
I tried a put spread a while ago on Wingstop, and it seemed like it could probably hang in there if you buy a small position and average in, especially before some big announcement, or you don't let your position ride through a big announcement like earnings. Seems like you might be able to pick up a little bit of money if you think it's got a little bit downside in the short term.
Does anyone have any comment on Tesla Investor Day?
I don't know. I just saw a video with Kathy Woods talking about it again.
We talked about it a little bit yesterday, the whole energize the world. But I think in the last month since it's been announced, if you look at the stock price, it's somewhat priced in, you know. I know Genome likes the stock. What do you think about it, buddy?
It could go either way. For me, the options were the premium on the options were a little bit too high to play the options for this. So I just went ahead and bought a bunch of shares because if things go south, then at the very least I can just sell covered calls on them. So we'll see what happens.
Hardy, do you ever play Tesla? I don't think I've ever heard you talk about it before.
Every so often, sure, but I weigh it very much against the irrational buying that still seems to surround Musk.
Exactly.
I think I saw some guy put 20K on puts for Friday.
Thank you for your donation.
May the odds be ever in his favor.
Does anybody have a good ticker for ammunition, like ammunition manufacturing? Is there a good ticker for that?
ASO is probably your best bet unless you think the ammunition is not for recreational use.
Wasn't ammo also a darling for a while as an ammunition ticker?
Oh, well, that's easy. Ammo, and what was that you said, Hardy?
ASO, Academy Sports Outdoors, I think. But that's only if your thesis is recreational ammunition. hunting as opposed to fighting.
What about POW? Oh wait, is that ammo?
LMT.
I just looked up POW as a gun broker, so that's a place to get surplus. They do sell ammunition, but they don't manufacture it. But it's an online place to get accessories, and you actually get weapons too and send them to your FFL.
My thesis is basically around the current war and ammunition consumption increasing dramatically. So basically, when you get stagnated fronts like what's currently happening in Ukraine, ammunition usage just goes to the moon. Like, because basically everybody's in cover, just kind of blindly shooting at each other. So like they start to use just massive amounts of ammo in that kind of situation. And they'll also use massive amounts of artillery ammo as well. But I couldn't find a single artillery manufacturer that was publicly traded. So, like, no one that makes the bigger shells are, like, publicly traded. They seem to all be either rolled into a big defense company like Lockheed Martin or private.
I think your mic's open.
Thank you.
But yeah, you're right, Scald. Most of them are privately, and that's been done really in the last 15 years. A lot of them went, like Sig Sauer started making their own ammunition because, they saw the move to everyone buying it, not just the wars, but just as recreational shooters. So you're right. I think it is mostly rolled in. And the ones that I just looked up, none of them seem to be a pure play.
Thank you all.
That was it, man. Sorry. Go ahead, Scald.
Oh, no, I was just saying thanks. Thanks for the tickers, and I'll investigate all these.
One minute's open. You should get some more dramatic music right before market opens opinion.
Maybe it should slowly get progressively more intense.
Yeah, just slowly BPM increase something where you're like, oh, I'm getting jazzed, I'm getting pumped.
I want the Terminator 2 theme song. I think that would be super hype if it just slowly got louder and louder as it played.
Louder and louder.
You talking
like
about the
that
Guns N'
idea.
Roses song? Because that would be wonderful.
Oh, I was going to say Fortunate Son, that's a good one. Market open.
The chat hype train, right?
Oh, yeah, it should be the Tindy Man, right? There's the song for this.
Oh.
It's the Tindy Man song, right?
Soon may the Tindy Man come.
Ding, ding, ding.
Boo, 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 boo.
That's the one.
Yeah, just playing the Tindy Man through an open mic. It's hilarious. For those of you that don't know, it's a sea shanty about GameStop called the Tindy Man, and it's hilarious. I think that's what it was made for, actually, but it's funny as hell.
I'll have to look that up later.
I've been around long enough in the community. I do remember that.
swinging swords and sniffing seats. He does it all the time.
All right, let's. Any other plays, or should we wrap it up early for today? Feels like a shame to wrap things up so early at 9:30. Maybe we'll give it a couple minutes until people have had a chance to settle into their plays, get over the fact that their portfolios are red, and then come back and share kind of how the day's moved so far.
I lost all my money.
I might have some plays, but I want to see how things settle for a few minutes before I start mentioning stuff.
Probably the prudent choice. Sorry, Scott, go ahead.
Oh, it's just a song. I'm thinking, so I keep seeing this news story that, like, the vast majority of 20-something men are single. And then, like, another news story, this says not only are they single, but, like, an increased number of them have just never had sex at all. And it's been on the front page of Reddit for 2 days on different subs. And I'm like, is the play to short Trojan? Like, is that... Because, like, if you're not having sex, you don't need condoms, right?
Well,
anyway,
I think
it's a thesis, but
I think the story is that it's become a power law distribution where a few people hoard all of the wealth, if you will. A few people hoard all of the wealth, and some people, or most people, just have nothing.
So I don't have an actual play on this yet, but something I've been looking at is generational spending trends, because I know isn't that super exciting, but anyway, as I'm looking through it, apparently the younger generation, specifically Zoomers, are far more prone to let their debt go towards buy now, pay later methods versus actual credit card debt. So that's something kind of looking at, and I think there might be something worth following on that. It just seems to be a far more preferred method for them is to use those buy now, pay later setups versus using a credit card and setting it that way. So that's worth keeping an eye on, but I don't have a play yet, but I'll at least bring it up if somebody wants to add some information.
You talking about like Firm?
Yeah, those types of setups seem to be significantly more preferred for, I guess, Gen Z Zoomers in particular, but also younger millennials seem to be pushing more towards that, and they don't have as much credit card debt because they're far less likely to actually use a credit card. So it's not that they're not in debt, they just have it through different sources.
Is that bullish on the firm then?
I don't know. I want to keep looking into this. So this all started with, and I brought this up before, the return of student loans in June that I think are going to add a lot of bills to people that they are not prepared for. And then that got me digging into who's going to have student loans, well, younger millennials and Zoomers, right? And then that got me digging into, so what are they buying and where would they have their debt? And that's how I kind of stumbled into this. Oh, it appears that they tend to go towards things like Affirm. So if they're going to be defaulting on debt, it's not going to hit the credit card companies like we think. It's going to be hitting those buy now, pay later groups. So that's kind of the rabbit hole I've been digging through.
Where's Biden to cancel all the student debts?
That is before the Supreme Court right now, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, is it? When is that taking place?
They're supposed to start hearing arguments this week.
Oh, wow.
But that's not for full cancellation. That's just the $10K worth of forgiveness. Right? I don't think there's full cancellation. I don't think a lot of younger people are prepared for their monthly student loan payments to magically reappear. I think in general, when human beings lose a bill, they don't save that money. They tend to spend most of that money, at least unless you're like particularly wealthy, but they tend to just add that into their normal monthly spending. So long story short, I anticipate come that June time, people are going to start getting hit with bills they weren't prepared for. They'll be all right for a few months, probably 3 to 6 months out, sometimes towards December is when it's going to start getting overwhelming. And then the question becomes, who's the holder of that debt? And that's where I found that it's going to be like an Affirm, not necessarily Affirm, but like that type of buy now, pay later company, not necessarily your Visas, your MasterCards that we would more traditionally would assume would be the holders of that debt. So that's where this is all coming from. But like I said, I need to look more into this. I'm not going to say there's a play yet. It's just something I noticed.
On Sweden. Buy now, pay later company.
Rad, I
Yeah,
like that
don't forget.
idea. I know we've been talking about it because that kind of circumvents the underwriting issue that I brought up. How people couldn't go out and buy a new car. Yeah, so I like this idea. I like where it's going.
Yeah, don't forget to include NINA in your analysis. The ticker's NNI. They're like heavy. I mean, their entire business is student loans, basically. So they're publicly
Yeah, I
traded.
think they
You can see their
service.
stock price.
So I'm
Yeah,
not
you can see
worried
how their
about.
stock price.
Sorry.
Oh, you're not, and so you're not interested in that. You're more interested in the knock-on effect of student loan repayment coming in, and then.
I'm not worried about the student loan because you can't write off this. There's no like, I'm bankrupt, I can't pay. Like, that's just, you have to pay it. There's no way around the student loan, right? At least to my knowledge, there's no way to be like, oh, sorry, I'm broke, I don't have my student loans. It's like medical debt. It just becomes, sucks to be you. You still have to pay this.
You
So
could
I'm not so
die.
worried about
Unless
those. I'm
you're
worried about the
unalive.
other. I'm worried about what are they going to stop paying for as monthly expenses in order to be able to pay those loans. What are the monthly bills that they've added on? At first, I was thinking maybe car payments, but I don't know if that's the case now. But whatever, just what are their monthly bills that they're going to have to be like, well, I'm going to have to pull away from this because these student loans are back and they'll never go away, and I can't just pretend they're not there.
There's no way these younger generation are like that. Like, they're gonna just add the student debt to the already existing
AMC is up
subscription debts and so forth.
I guess what I should say is the companies who own the student loans, I don't see them ultimately having an issue because there's no way to get rid of that student loan versus like in a firm who I could see if someone in theory declared bankruptcy, I think they could potentially wipe that debt out, right? Student loan, you can never wipe that debt out no matter what happens to you, from my understanding.
Yeah, I think we had sort of a corollary conversation last week where people were thinking that the used car market and these subprime loans that might have been issued for all these people buying these Jeeps and whatever new or certified pre-owned cars, a lot of people are taking on really massive payments for a vehicle. And I could definitely see, I don't know what the trend is on the aggregate for Gen Z car ownership, or if they just like to ride the bus everywhere or a scooter or whatever, but I can see that being, on the margin, something that gets under pressure as student loan comes in and they realize that, like, I either have to do this or that, and sort of with student loan, they have to pay it. I could see the car loan maybe going bad.
Well, the one good thing with that is, I mean, we also talked about this conversation last week. The car loan restrictions haven't got as bad as the housing, but just general credit underwriting, as Rad's talking about, like, regardless of it, when the payments come back on, that student loan's always on your credit report. So if you go get a car payment, they look at that. They look at your debt to income ratio. They look at your overall debt and your monthly payments. So they're not going to let someone buy an $800 car per se, $800 a month payment. If you have an $800 a month payment being like stopped right now for student loans, they're going to look at that and say, well, you can't do that. So I think Rad's idea is probably, it's one further step from that,
AMC's at 850.
Yeah, I just mentioned it earlier, but nobody cares about it. But anyways, continue.
We can get into AMC.
I don't think we heard you. Sorry.
11%.
We can get into that. I think we were just finishing an idea, and then we can.
I love WallStreetBets. Makes me feel alive.
Anyway, the point is, I don't really have much else to give on this, so I guess if people would rather talk AMC, that's fine. I was just bringing it up. If people want to look into these notions, go for it. I'm going to be digging into buy now, pay later.
I did write notes on what you were talking about, though, Rad. I tend to write notes now about what people are talking instead of just kind of listening and trying to remember what they were talking about.
Show off. Good for you.
Damn. He must be one of those A students, those curve wreckers.
Brown nose into opinion. I take notes.
Yeah, he sits at the front of the class.
I actually
Or
sit at
he's,
the back of the class right now at the college campus, but I mean, y'all would like to know, I do have a 3.8 GPA.
I'm assuming
Congrats,
he works for
man.
Buzz. I'm assuming he works for BuzzFeed, and he takes these notes so he can write his upcoming article about what all the kids are into nowadays for stocks.
But he's not.
I actually work for Bloomberg.
I was gonna say he's not Chat GPT-3, so he's not working for BuzzFeed.
Main highlight: Wendy's dumpsters. Got it.
Right, highlight of the week. Wendy's is hiring new positions to work the back dumpster.
But you are right. AMC is very up, and Ape is not up, and so the cycle continues. Go AMC.
Yep.
I hope. Look, I hope it gets to $500, and all y'all apes get super rich. I really do.
Ape is down 5% almost.
Yeah, like I noticed that yesterday when AMC was going up, Ape just kept on going back down.
I think there's a lot of assumption that I think this is pricing in a lot of the risk that is this potential quote unquote court case. I also think nothing's coming of it. And if you believe that the vote is passing and that ultimately the shares will convert on the 27th, then it's just giving you more upside, right? You can get Ape cheaper and potentially AMC will get converted into higher.
This is the way.
Yeah. I don't see that vote failing. They already have at least one major hedge fund with a ton of Ape that has said they're voting yes with all of it. And it's millions of shares.
Hello?
HIMS is pumping this morning. HIMS. Did they report earnings or something?
Yeah, but I didn't see what they were, but clearly they liked it. I saw it was going up in pre-market last night. Really going now.
I had that on my watch list, and I just noticed it's pumping right now. Crazy.
Oh, so AMC has earnings at close today, huh?
Yep.
Yes, they do.
Okay, this tracks. Now I get it. So there's some anticipation that they might be announcing something. Okay, there we go.
I think Ape is going down because I think some people in Ape are going into the hype of AMC today.
I mean, there could be a lot of things. People could be expecting that AMC is finally going to confirm the court case at this meeting and say that the Ape vote has been pushed back or that they're not going to do it anymore. Who knows? There could be all sorts of things getting priced in, right?
Well, the proxy shares have been voting for at least 2 weeks now. I mean, I voted my shares already.
I'm not worried about numerically the vote passing. If it happens, it'll pass. Again, I just think there is a legal case regardless of merit, and I think that that's something that will get priced in, and we might be seeing it get priced in. Because before this was announced, Ape and AMC moved very much 1-to-1.
I might just sell about 30 minutes before market close on these AMC calls. You never know what might happen after their earnings come through.
Keep in mind, post earnings, you're going to get a massive theta decay, regardless. Or sorry, theta. Wow, brain, IV crush. Come on, I can do letters.
SPY looks like it's trying to go up. Just went above the 200-day moving average.
All right, y'all. I got stuff to do. Have a good morning. See you.
Take it easy, lemon squeezy.
So, opinion, what has Citadel been doing recently?
Your mom.
Good for her.
Ooh, Mara has earnings today after hours. Anybody playing Mara?
Almost feels like at this point the question's becoming anybody playing anything.
Dude, it's just like right today, just a horrible day. I don't see a single good setup.
I'm loading up on Tesla puts today, but ask me tomorrow how that went.
Doing a weekly?
Yeah, maybe an asteroid hits Elon while he's on stage or something. I don't wish anything.
That's the wishful thinking right there, dude.
Yeah, what if that shit happened, bro?
I don't wish anything negative on people, but did y'all see where Netflix made a fictional movie about the Ohio train derailment, and then it ended up happening like the exact same city a year later?
Nice.
No way.
Yeah, that whole Ohio train derailment thing. Look up the Netflix connection. It's like a Simpsons did it sort of thing. And so maybe I don't wish ill on anybody. I don't want anything bad to happen to Elon, but maybe he throws another rock through a Cybertruck window or something. I don't know, man.
The space Tesla leaves orbit and hits him using self-driving.
Exactly. That's why I bought the shares. I'm just afraid to play options on Tesla. You never know what can happen.
Well, I made like $1,500 of profit so far this week, so I feel like it is my duty to put all of that up for gamble on one call, and so I'm willing to risk about $1,500 on some 200 puts, and we'll see if I made any money tomorrow.
Good luck with that, man.
Good luck, dude.
The self-driving car is going to crash through the meeting location and right on stage, and then you're just going to laugh with all your money printing. But somehow it's going to be bullish, and Tesla stock is going to go way up because the car didn't get destroyed in the crash, and the safety rating got improved.
Seriously, I've seen a ton of articles about just cars burning people alive and trapping people and yada yada, batteries overheating. But yet, still bullish.
Tesla's such a irrational stock. I don't know why you guys are so brave putting puts on it. It just goes up no matter what.
Yeah,
well, there was when he bought Twitter, it did not just go up.
Yeah, I was about to say
there were definitely down moments.
That's not necessarily true. It did get the crap beat out of it for quite a while there. And I mean, if it had dipped under 100 and stayed under 100, he was going to be in trouble with those loans.
Well, the biggest nonprofit.
See, I still think people misinterpret that whole Twitter acquisition. You can't get that kind of media attention anywhere else for the price. Imagine how much all the car companies pay for marketing and advertising, and how much he's getting for free as a result of the Twitter acquisition.
Yeah, so free, $45 billion, but it's free, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
but look at what they're spending, like what Ford, Chrysler, GM, all these other car companies, what they're spending on marketing and advertising is way more than that.
Guarantee you, it's not $44 billion.
Yeah, they're paying how much for a Twitter subscription for the check mark?
Here's something to always keep in mind when it comes with Tesla. The car doesn't matter. Elon's the brand.
Gesundheit.
The car just happens to be the thing that he's selling. The brand, like, if you even look at Tesla, the company, Tesla doesn't have a publicist. Elon has a publicist. He is the brand. And he's the one car company where, like, it matters what people think of Elon. It matters if people think he's smart and going to do something that's futuristic and change the world. It's not like that with Ford. Nobody looks at the CEO of Ford and is like, what's he saying? But for Tesla, it's all about Elon.
Well, yeah, that's why the guy is hoping that a meteorite hits Tesla or Elon.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you're absolutely correct. Without Elon, Tesla would just catapult towards zero.
Something has to happen to Elon in order for the stock to collapse.
Which, I mean,
meteorite.
given everything going on, I mean, the dude could just get sick. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't wish anything ill on the guy. I just don't like Teslas, so I revenge trade on a regular basis, and it almost never works out for me, but that's why I'm on WallStreetBets.
The company could survive the loss of Elon the same way that Apple could survive Steve Jobs, right? But it's definitely very much like when Steve Jobs was alive, how Apple revolved around Steve Jobs' image. Tesla very much revolves right now around Elon's image more than their product.
It's funny how he keeps on saying that he doesn't wish anything bad upon anybody, but once a meteor to hit Elon Musk.
Oh, he's just covering himself right now. He's like, I don't want anything bad to happen to Elon in a video game, but if he were to die right now, that would be super cool. But I wouldn't want it. But man, wouldn't that be awesome in a not wanted way?
I mean, you know, it's like when it's like when you tell somebody, hey, like, no offense, but it's like, I just have to preface it.
There is one documented occurrence of a human being hit by a meteorite. There's only been one, so the odds are 1 in about 8 billion.
Yeah, but I feel like as much stuff as he's putting up into orbit, I feel like there's like a karma play to happen there.
Well, what Human Genome is really saying is we're overdue for someone to get hit by a meteor.
That's right.
Yo, that shit happens.
But you're talking about Steve Jobs and that, but they knew Steve Jobs was dying. He had freaking cancer. Like, I think there's going to be a bit more of a shakeup if something happens, like Elon getting hit by a freaking meteorite instead of Steve Jobs slowly dying from cancer because he doesn't want to use chemo.
And Apple already did without Steve Jobs for a while, and it was already a fully developed company at this point. Like, they were self-sufficient, although they were going down.
I only brought up Steve Jobs in the case that he was a very well-known CEO who, at his height, was the face of the company. The same way that, like, Bill Gates at his height was Microsoft, even though there were many other factors involved.
Yeah, but you got Steve Wozniak, you have Steve Jobs not being in the picture for a while. I don't know.
Well, but I mean, Jobs' personality was nothing like Elon's, and social media wasn't as big back then. Like, I mean, what was it, Saturday or Sunday? Elon posted like 20 posts of just random effing memes and stuff. And I mean, the number one comment was like, man, this guy's bored today. I mean, I don't know.
I think that's why he bought Twitter. So he could post freely and not get deleted.
Let's not forget the one time he posted a picture of his monitor and said he was going to paint it with his junk.
Damn, those puts are juicy. $7 per share for those $200 puts.
But you guys remember how Jobs and Gates were really like back then? Like, people didn't like them. They're like assholes.
They still are. That hasn't changed.
Gates was pretty hated for a good chunk of his time. People thought there was like the whole, he stole everything from Apple. Like, he didn't even come up with it himself. There was a lot of hate for Gates early on.
He stole coding from India. Like, there's a whole entire culture that hates this guy.
But the long story short is, Elon is what matters about Tesla. Even when like these self-driving crashes and stuff happen, like, that's not good for Tesla, obviously. But at the end of the day, like, as long as Elon's there to tell you how he's totally gonna revolutionize the world, people are going to follow him and believe.
Until meteorite hits them.
Yeah, no, I think it's because my in-laws are like obsessed with this guy. They all own the cars. They've all had pre-orders on Cybertrucks for like 6 years now. And every year, like every Christmas gathering, man, I'm so excited to get my Cybertruck this year, and I'm just sitting there like, God, stop.
Remember the Roadster? Like people have been waiting from like 2017 for that.
I mean, let's be real. Tesla shouldn't even have the opportunity for an EV truck if Ford could just not be incredibly incompetent for 10 minutes in a row and get an electric F-150 out. That, like, it's the #1 selling car in the US. An electric F-150, it doesn't even have to be good. Ford is just so incompetent.
Well, their supply chain is horrendous. Their quality control is horrendous. Like, there's a lot of other issues with that. But when the one dude was like, "How much do they spend on marketing?" I'm sitting there thinking like, Ford, GM, maybe Stellantis now, because Stellantis is actually a pretty good company now. But like, Ford and GM, I don't think have ever had $44 billion of cash on hand at any one given time.
All right, I sold some cash secured puts, $200 strike, expiring March 10th. Please buy them on Tesla.
Those are too smart for me. I bought ones expiring on Friday, so if you want to sell some of those, I'll pick them up.
Where the hell is the Cybertruck?
They're
Exactly.
finalizing. Well, they're actually
cyberspace, bro.
No, they're producing them. They got like the early engineering models are being produced right now to test their manufacturing in Austin. So there's a good chance that we might see some by the end of the year or next year. But they have the manufacturing facility to build them is being fine tuned at this point, as is the final design.
So Cybertruck tomorrow, same time as Moas.
Yeah, Moas is going to ride in on a Cybertruck.
Oh, could you imagine? He just shows up and he goes, "All right, AMC to the moon, GME to 10,000, baby, hog, hog."
I want to see what the final price is on the Cybertruck. Originally, he's saying it's under 50K for the basic model.
There's no
Depends on the version. Right. Depends on the version.
Remember, but that was like 2 years ago. So 2-3 years ago. Sorry.
I mean, if you can get the batteries cheaper in the next few years, maybe.
I mean, I haven't a pre-order in, but I haven't seen anything on an updated price. No communication yet on change in price from the pre-order. But I'm sure that's coming once they finalize the design.
I mean, but those pre-orders weren't real. They're like $1.
$100.
Oh, sorry, 100.
It puts you in line. I'm at like 377,000 something.
Tesla has also enjoyed the benefit of having pretty much no real competition in their sector for quite some time. Like, what was their big competition? The Nissan Leaf, which could barely go half the distance? I guess you could say a Prius. Does that count as competition for an EV?
Well, I think if the Prius would have had a better design, like the Prius to me just looked ugly, and I think that was one of the obstacles for a lot of people. It's just not a good looking car. If they would have had a better aesthetic to the body of the design of the Prius, I think it would have done a hell of a lot better.
I mean, it's still ugly to this day.
It is. It is. I have to admit it is.
Yeah, because I mean, it'd be the running joke where it'd be like, "Oh my God, you drive a Prius?" Like, but now it's like, "Oh, you drive a Tesla," and somehow it's cool.
But is it even fair to call a hybrid one-to-one competition with an EV, though?
I mean, you could say it was the start of it, right?
Well,
like,
the Prius
it's all about fuel efficiency.
The Prius existed before the Tesla.
Yeah, I know. That's my point.
And I think Toyota missed a huge opportunity because there was a lot of momentum when they first announced the Prius. I mean, there was a lot of publicity, a lot of momentum, but they somehow lost the buzz because it was just an ugly car.
I mean, they had hybrid Lexus, which were super cool looking cars too.
Yeah.
They were awesome cars, and they were pretty good price. Like
the main difference is that none of these companies have an Elon.
Yeah, their marketing was poor.
Well,
I-
Toyota and Honda also went towards hydrogen as opposed to electric powered vehicles. They put a lot of research into hydrogen cars.
Yep.
Which, I mean, that's a real head scratcher to me. Like, why some massive company doesn't just implement a figurehead like Elon to be like a little edgy, a little, whatever. Like, just like he's got like celebrity status. Why doesn't some other massive company just find some guy that's really smart and good looking and whatever and throw him in there? Like, I don't know.
Or just do a complete imbecile as like a spokesperson, like Logan Paul.
Because then you wind up with a Sam Bankman-Fried in charge of your company because he's charismatic.
Well, I mean, don't give him any power, and just like the Queen of England, right? You have the Prime Minister and you got the Queen of England.
Well, but I think part of the appeal of Elon is that he has control of day-to-day operations, right? A charismatic face that doesn't have any control isn't going to necessarily push your company.
Well, they don't need to know that he doesn't have any control. You can just say that he's got control, and
they can't hide that.
This guy is going for a full-on puppet.
Personalities aside, though, I mean, he does push the envelope when it comes to maximizing the physics involved in the vehicles, space, and some of these other things that he's doing. His vision is pushing the envelope in what we can achieve with the technologies that we've invented so far. I mean, he didn't invent electricity or electric cars or any of this other stuff, but he does have a vision that is going to be hard to duplicate for any other CEO.
Yeah, no, you can't discredit what he's done with Tesla. The same way that he's taken SpaceX and made a real company that is, doing what it does and doing it very well. The man has done well with what he's touched. But Tesla's also going to run into a lot more competition because now I can get a BMW EV at a similar price as a Tesla, but it actually has like a BMW build and design and feel,
The charging network's a big thing for a lot of EV buyers. Like no one else has
Right.
a charging network like Tesla. So if you want to travel, it's a big difference.
But didn't they have to release the fast charge technology so that all EVs can take that on?
Yeah, that'll probably work like Apple lets Google on its phone. No, but yeah, no, that'll roll out slow. It's coming.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Time will tell how this EV stuff catches on, but I mean, I work in a massive fleet of cars, and our customers hate the EVs. We've got Polestar 2s, we've got Hyundais, Kona EVs, we've got Teslas, we got a little bit of everything. They just do not have the patience for the charging. If they could figure out some sort of like battery swap or
It's not battery swap. It's none of those. It's going to be electric roads that power your car as you're driving on them. The one thing about electric cars that you can't do with fossil fuels or even with hydrogen is electricity can be transmitted through the air. That's already been demonstrated, and the infrastructure, like governments, need to step up and electrify their infrastructure, and then it's going to change things significantly. And you're not going to have to worry about battery capacities and the environmental effects on lithium and all that kind of stuff are going to go away. But you need to electrify the roads, and some of that's already started in some places. Like they're doing it with buses in Sweden, I think. South Korea has some type of electrification initiative for their roads. That's all in research and development. Batteries are going to become insignificant.
I get what you're saying, human genome, but I don't know if there's enough known copper deposits in existence to do a full electrification of roads for charging purposes.
I mean, not to mention that, but I mean, you've heard the old adage of like somebody gets cancer, deformity, or whatever, and they're like, well, they lived underneath the power lines. Like, I mean, I get that everything on the planet is harmful for us between internal combustion gases and everything else. And the rays from the sun can give you skin cancer. But like, I'm not sure I'd want to be constantly sitting on a gigantic air-to-air cell phone charger.
I agree with human genome in principle. I could see it happening. I just don't know if we have the raw materials to make it happen.
Well, you
I
already
don't know
have
you
it
would do
there.
a full electrification of the entire roadway, but you would definitely maybe do it in certain spots, like nice
Well,
long stretches of highway.
on,
Do some
on the
charging.
on the turnpikes, and you already have it there. Like the everywhere where you drive along a freeway, you see those high tension, high voltage power lines. So they're already there. Like that stuff is already there in terms of the resource usage of that technology. What you need to do is put it into instead of having it on those tall towers, you have the power lines in the roads, and you have one lane that's for electric cars where you can drive it and you can charge it. And you don't need it on all the roads, but I can definitely see on like the turnpikes and the freeway system I think it could easily be done.
Well, the battery chemistries are just going to equal the cars you have now. I mean, the new battery chemistries you're going to charge them up fast. You're going to have long range. It's going to be just like the cars we have now. So to add in the extra cost of induction charging might be a little much, except for niche applications.
Well, and like I mean, this is a better question for somebody smarter than me, but I know if I put my phone on an induction charger, it charges slow as F and it gets super effing hot. So like how much of that energy is wasted trying to jump the gap, you know? But I mean, what I can say is running like all these EVs through the fleets and whatnot, we have not had one failure of an electric drive motor, transmission, or any of the drivetrain in these cars. That part of it is extremely reliable. I'd say way more reliable than an internal combustion engine, and I love internal combustion engines. It's just the batteries and the charge time that are the flaw. So if they figure out a way around that, where it's like a hydrogen fuel cell or inductive charging or solar or whatever the answer is, then they'll really be a hit.
All this talk keeps me bullish on raw materials, though. Whichever way we're going, we're still going to need all that copper for it.
Well, so it's out of nature.
Yeah, sorry, taking the dogs for a walk. It's a beautiful day, 80 degrees here today.
Where do you live?
Georgia.
Oh, that's nice. It's 35 here.
Ooh, sorry, Mongoose. I'm bringing you up now. Sorry, you were waiting there with your hand up for a bit. He's been wanting to say some stuff about Netflix for a while now.
Opinion disappears for like an hour, comes back, and the first thing he does is apologize. This man is Canada embodied.
I do what I can. Although, that being said, it might be almost time to wrap it up if there's no more plays. So, speak now or forever hold your peace. Or Mongoose, come up to the stage. I mean, whichever one comes first. Alright. Deadeye, if you're up here, you will be our last speaker. What you got for us?
Hello. I just wanted to say that there is other student loan forgiveness. That was another thing. I got 26,000 just forgiven for public service loan forgiveness. And as far as transmission losses and stuff for electric, we're gonna need fusion before we can just disregard over-the-air transmission losses.
What do you mean by public service forgiveness?
You work for the government, they'll forgive your student debt.
You work for them for a whole decade. And
Yeah,
if you
that's what I
haven't
thought
killed
you meant.
yourself-
That stuff's existed for a long time for a lot of different sectors. You can do the same thing through like a Teach America. They'll send you to some school in inner city Chicago for 5 years.
Non-profits also.
Yeah, that's existed for a very long time. A lot of people just don't want to do it.
That was about all I wanted to say. I just wanted to say that, yeah, so if you need a 9 to 5, public service is a good way to go.
Thank you for your service.
Working in public service.
And if you're Canadian, you'll have to find your own Canadian loan forgiveness program. Sorry.
Well, it helps that our loans aren't in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And even if they were, that would only be like $50 US, so it still wouldn't matter. But you know what? We call it
They
even.
just cross
because-
the border, go to a Wendy's dumpster in New York, and they'll have it paid off by the end of the night.
Right, but we call it even because it's like $1 million a month to live in an apartment in Toronto, so it balances out.
You should try New York.
Yeah, New York's not too cheap either.
Yeah, but
Well,
like,
Mongoose did make his way up, so if we want to let him say his piece on Netflix, we can do that.
Oh, yeah, Mongoose, go ahead. But also no pressure, except for the fact that hundreds of people are waiting for you to say something. But no pressure.
Took the talk rest on you, buddy. It lives and dies with you. Well, shoot.
All right, lads. Well, I guess that's a wrap. Thanks, ton, for coming out. We've got AMC earnings this eve, so we'll see how those go. And then more earnings for the rest of the week. So very excited for that, particularly. At least for me, I'm looking at Best Buy and Costco on Thursday, before and after market, respectively. We talked a lot about earnings today and a bunch of other stuff, so I'll end it off there. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Plug the Discord.
Okay, and I guess if you want to join, you can join the Discord. It's on the sidebar. Discord.gg/WSBverse. Which, yeah. Anyways, we'll see you there, or we'll see you tomorrow. Until then,
Target 177.
Thanks, Opinion.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Bye.
Opinion.